What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Nalo Kicking Knowledge. Today, we're continuing our Venus through House series, and today we're covering Venus in the third. And as you know, I'm a Gemini, and as you should know, the third house is the original house of Gemini, and the third house represents how we communicate by hand, by mouth, all forms of expression, okay? Third house is connected to short distance travel, media, skills, more specifically skills by hand, and Venus is in Gemini right now. And let me just tell you, those who know the zodiac on an esoteric level understand the relationship between Venus and Gemini. So Venus is very much so at home in the third house. And what it does is it makes the native highly creative. I mean, like, you're looking at a Gemini here, so I'm in awe of people with Venus in the third because they're able to do so much. You know, Gemini's in my versatility. So in the creative aspect, Venus in the third house really embodies that. These are the people who have tried their hands at a number of things. And as you know, we're still below the horizon, so there's going to be a lot of influence. You know, how this Venus expresses itself is going to be influenced a lot by the early upbringing. So what you'll find here is that the native is privileged to have been introduced to a lot of things in childhood, whether it be, you know, piano lessons, art lessons, acting, sports, okay? It's a very, very curious position. And Venus here just is like, I want to do everything, okay? And normally is very equipped to do whatever it is they put their mind to. So nonetheless, this, even if you're like an accountant by day or a lawyer by day, if you have Venus in the third house, in your free time, you are creating. So, like I said, the third house relates to our hands. So, in some capacities, like the native's hands become magical. So do their voice. Not everyone's going to be able to sing, but the native has a need to express themselves. And they have the Venus charm. So this can make excellent diplomats, politicians, right? And the third house relates to the neighborhood, the early environment. So in the long haul, this is someone who can become very prominent within their own neighborhood, okay? And of course we know the third house relates to siblings. And along the karmic journey, this is just one of those times where you get introduced to that dynamic. Because remember, Venus is relationships with other people, relating to other people. So in the house of siblings, whether good or bad, although more times I would say it's good, this just shows within your evolution for this incarnation, the relationship with your sibling is going to be of major importance, okay? So if you're sitting there like, well, I can't stand my sibling, I want you to check your aspects. If you have like a harsh aspect to, let's say, Pluto, is going to show a power struggle, you know, with the sibling. Or maybe your Venus is in Scorpio. This can show maybe, you know, a sibling passing away, or you know, an incident with the sibling where it helped transform you. Let's say we get Venus here in Capricorn. This is someone who feels responsible, you know, for their sibling. Worse if there's, even more so, if Saturn is in the third house or aspecting that third house. You'll see that dynamic play out. Then, in the terms of relationships, remember how I said Venus is pretty much easily influenced? Well, whether romantically or platonically, the people in which you create relationships with are going to have an effect on your creativity. So, if your father, if your, you know, mother, the people around you are very political, you're going to take on that kind of attitude and kind of impersonate it and use it to inspire yourself. Like, okay, I could be creative in this way. So the real key here is keeping in mind who you keep around yourself, because this is a person who, like I said, in early life, if they're around political people, they're going to be political. If they're around spiritual people, they're going to be spiritual. So Venus in the third is always changing, all right? And it's fine because it's the original house of Gemini, all right? But of course, the sign is going to color that even more. Because if we get a Sagittarius, if a Sagittarius here, their philosophy, they're going to be influenced with different religions and philosophies and things like that. But overall, whatever it is you decide to do with your creativity, just make sure you find an outlet for it, okay? Because without expressing yourself, the energy gets blocked, and then this can lead to not relating to people, and kind of feeling like you're not good enough, which is the opposite of what the planet here in this house wants to do. In terms of romantic relationships, I'll tell you this, how I've seen it. This, because it represents the neighborhood and things like that, it is one of those positions, and there's a lot of different factors that go into this, but more than likely you probably will meet your ideal mate early on in life, around the neighborhood, in school. So somebody with Venus in the third to have, got with someone in high school and been with them for 15, 20 years, that's pretty much regular. It's one of those gifts, okay? So keep in mind what I said. In a karmic sense, in an evolutionary sense, this is really incarnation to find your artistic niche where you develop your skills, where later down in the line, okay, you can make a career out of those skills that you've developed. Secondly, this is a evolutionary track where you're going to be involved with your siblings. So your siblings either going to inspire you, you're either going to feel, very responsible for your sibling, or you're going to have to overcome that power dynamic within sibling rivalry, okay? And then lastly, it could also denote, especially in the earth sign, being like using your creativity, using your ability to connect with others, to make yourself into somebody within the neighborhood, okay? So you can use your Venus essence to be somewhat of like a politician, a teacher, kind of one of those people who grow up in a place and live your adult life there and raise your family there, very connected to home. But like I said, sign and aspect are going to give more information as to how this will play out. But a really good position overall. So, this is my interpretation of Venus in the third. I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, if you got this position, make it do what it do, because it's a blessing. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, feel free to do so. If you need a reading, holla at me. Peace.